Do you want to get out of the kitchen before I start talking? Because otherwise there's going to be a man wearing the same shirt as me in the background, and it's going to look like we're a team. Hi everyone. So I haven't made a video in a while, and this is going to be a slightly different video than what you guys are probably used to of mine. But since my mom just sent me a package with some of my belongings in it, thanks Mom, I decided that I would talk to you a little bit about a slightly embarrassing part of my past. Well, let me rephrase. A part of my past which I always thought was embarrassing, but I've grown to accept as I've gotten older. Some of you know me from the Finnish 90s scene, or the Ysari scene here in Finland, and I've had many people ask me, including DJs, where does this come from? How does an American know about this stuff, and why is an American so excited about this stuff? And the short answer is, it all comes back to Westlife. These piles are both Westlife CDs in this pile, and Westlife singles in this pile. And yes, while Westlife isn't inherently a Eurodance boy band, they were a boy band in the late 90s and early 2000s, and they are responsible for all of my random European musical knowledge. You see, in 1999 or 2000, I think late 1999, early 2000, Westlife came out with Swear It Again in the US, which was their first and only hit that managed to break the Billboard charts. And when I was 9, I loved this song. I was a really big fan of NSYNC and had always kind of liked the boy band sound, you know, 98 Degrees and Backstreet Boys and all that, but I loved Westlife. And I knew instantly when I heard this song that this was going to be my boy band. So I went out and I bought this, which was the American version of the Westlife debut album, which has a different album cover than the rest of the world, which had this. Notice this as import, I'll get to that. So I loved this CD. I listened to it so much. I loved this band. And at the time, it became pretty apparent that Westlife wasn't coming back after a couple of months. They had this hit with Swear It Again, and then they just disappeared. And at this point, I had just gone the internet. And so I started to Google about Westlife, and of course I already had known from magazines and whatnot that they were Irish, and I decided that I wanted to learn more about music from Ireland and music from the UK. And that eventually got me to learning more about music from the rest of Europe as well. So I started to follow the British charts, actually, with my really crappy dial-up internet connection every week, which eventually came to me listening to the Smash Hits countdown every week from the computer at my dad's house, because my dad had better internet, but I'll get to that later. So it became clear that Westlife wasn't going to come back to the US, and I needed more music than just this. So I started to import everything that my parents could afford, basically. And unfortunately, during a rebel phase in my teenage years, I tried to get rid of a lot of the stuff that I had imported. And that is one of my biggest regrets, is that I don't have all of my original stuff anymore. This is a fraction of what I used to have, because I thought I wasn't going to need it anymore. And I was never going to be one of those adults who was super into nostalgia, but here I am at 26. So I started to import everything I could, like I said. And I started to read from different British websites that every single had 2 versions, and that was something a lot of artists had. I don't know, was that a uniquely British thing or what, but there'd be CD1 and CD2 of singles, and they'd have different album covers. And that was fantastic to me. That was just so interesting and so wonderful. So I would try to get different versions of album covers, and the only way to import them was to just go into the record store. Mind you, this is like 2001, 2002, 2003. The only time to really guarantee anything was to go into the record store and ask for something. So I started to get Westlife stuff from all over the world by just saying, hey, I want Coast to Coast. And this isn't my original Coast to Coast. I ordered this one from the UK because I wanted this particular album cover, actually, because the Coast to Coast I had a different album cover that I don't have for some reason here, but I'll get to that. And that had come from Asia, and that was some kind of I don't know where in Asia it came from, or was it a pan-Asian release, but it had a different cover, and it had a big poster that was signed, and it had all these crazy things, and I mean, it was awesome. At that point, I was sort of grateful that I hadn't lived in the UK, even though there was a big part of me that had wanted to, because I got all this cool stuff, this extra stuff. So yeah, I would import the CDs, you know, here's World of Our Own. I have 2 copies of Tonight, because, or not Tonight, Unbreakable, I'm sorry, because one had a different album cover than the other, but this is my original, and I have listened to this so many times. And this CD was $40. And this is what I got for my birthday that year, was this CD. That's how much times have changed. This wasn't a cheap thing. I didn't play sports, and I didn't really have any other hobbies in music, so this is what I had instead. And at the time, I was always sort of sad because I thought I didn't have very much, but now as an adult, of course, I have a better concept of money, and I understand this is a lot of money for plastic, but we had dial-up internet, and it just wasn't feasible to download it. Of course, legally downloading things wasn't really an option, but that didn't stop us back then anyway. So here I have Turnaround, and then these 2 are still in the plastic because I haven't needed to listen to them physically by this point. Digital stuff was actually a thing, but I still ordered them. I still ordered them just for the sort of sake of doing so. But it's after this I stopped really following in such a heavy way, and of course I got so much more involved with punk rock and that whole scene that it just, I was really embarrassed of this side of myself for a while. And of course, like I said, now as an adult, I don't really understand what I was ever ashamed of. But when you're a teenager and you want to try to fit in and impress your friends, you do stupid things. So this is my singles pile, or what's left of it. Like I said, I don't know, is there anything more at my mom's house? I know that my friend Tom, hey Tom, I haven't seen you in a while, and I don't know if you're ever going to see this video because your ex hates me, but hey, I had left some CDs in his car, or at his friend's house a couple of years ago, and by a couple of years ago I mean 10. So if you haven't thrown those away, please bring them to my mom's house. She lives in the same place. I need them. There's some J-pop in there too. But yeah, so this is what's left of my singles. As you can see, I have this one, which was for Uptown Girl, which was for Comic Relief. So I imported this. So I think, like I said, most of these had 2 versions, and I only have one of a lot of them. But this is like Fool Again, and the actual Turnaround single that claims it has a VCD in it, but I don't see a VCD. Oh no, this is the okay. This came with the Turnaround album, so this is the VCD. And here's Flying Without Wings, which is cool. And like I said, I don't know what country these ones are from. I imagine, since these are singles, these are largely from the UK. But this is pretty cool. This is the single for Unbreakable, and it's got a poster in it. It's pretty cool. And Brian was still part of the band. And I know this probably sounds crazy to you all, but I don't know. I felt a connection of some kind to this pop music, even though it was, you know, at the end of the day, just some cheesy pop music. But I was, you know, a young kid and trying to find myself. Here's the Westlife and Mariah Carey, Against All Odds. If I Let You Go, a limited edition version of Seasons in the Sun and I Have a Dream. And this is cool. This is My Love, and it comes with a poster also, but this is actually the album cover of Coast to Coast that I had. This Coast to Coast CD I had looked like this on the inside. The outside was the outside I remember correctly was some kind of cover, but this is what my cover of Coast to Coast looked like, so that was cool. And the thing is also, I would see from actually British Amazon or American Amazon, one of the Amazons at the time, because by this time it was like 2003, so Amazon was a bit more of a thing. I could see also Tonight and Bop Bop Baby. each CD1 or CD2, I don't remember which. It was really important to me that I got this cover of Tonight, because this had a specific B-side that I wanted. And actually, one thing I'm kind of upset about is there's one B-side on World of Our Own that I want, but this version doesn't have that B-side. And it's really hard to find some of the B-sides I want now digitally because they're not on Spotify. So I'm still sort of searching for those singles. But as I was saying, it wasn't just Westlife that I was interested in at the time. I was also quite a huge fan of the A-Teens, to the point where I had seen them live, which was really cool, and I had gotten their autographs, even though I didn't meet them. A security guy had brought me some autographs. That was quite nice of him. And I was really into A1 as well. And a couple of years ago for work, I got to interview Christian Ingebrigtsen, which was one of the most fantastic experiences of my life. Thank you, Christian. And Atomic Kitten as well, I was quite a big fan of. So naturally, when Brian from Westlife and Carrie Katona started dating, I was like, oh, but of course, I was so young and didn't have access to British tabloids, I had no idea what kind of train wreck that whole relationship actually was. So in retrospect, that's a bit sad. But yeah, I had also started to follow some Norwegian artists as well, and I don't know, I was just kind of a weird kid. I really was fascinated about the fact that just across the ocean, the pop music was so different, or maybe not necessarily different in such a way that it wasn't pop music, but just the artists and the names and what they were doing was so different. I always sort of felt as though we lived in a bit of a bubble musically, because all the things we had exposure to were American, except on a rare occasion you'd get something Canadian or something British that would sort of break through. But I was just so fascinated, and I thought, how nice would it be if one day I got to live over there and sort of be in a place where I have access to this kind of music. And so the gist of what I was saying in the last video before my memory card filled up was that when I finally moved here and started going to flea markets and secondhand shops and whatnot, it was so wonderful to be able to see these artists I recognized from my childhood, you know, for sale at these tables and stuff. And of course, you know, now so many bands have done comeback gigs and stuff here in Finland, or not even comeback gigs, just like still touring and whatnot, and it's been cool. Although Westlife, of course, broke up only 5 years ago, so I don't know, are they ever going to do it again? But thank you so much for watching this very strange video of mine. And if you are from the UK or other parts of Europe or Asia or anywhere in the world where Westlife would have been successful, and you find these CDs and singles and stuff with different covers than what I showed you here, especially if they still have the posters intact and things like that, let me know. And if you can prove to me that you actually have it and you're not just trying to scam me out of money, I'll send you some money to ship it to Finland, and you will be my favorite person ever. And as always, if you have any idea about what kind of video I could do in regards to my disabled stuff and whatnot, let me know in the comments. I'm always taking those very seriously. And if anyone from Westlife actually ends up watching this video, hey, thank you so much for everything you did for me when I was young and I didn't have many friends, and all I had really was the music I listened to, and most of it was yours. So you were a really big part of my life, and you were a friend when I didn't have any else, and that means a lot to me. So thank you. Bye.